A lot of us have become so disconnected with the feminine, the importance of being able to understand what the feminine is and being able to understand what it is not. This is extremely important because sometimes when you're not in your feminine energy, and it's a good thing to be in your feminine energy, things can go wrong. Things can get wonky. As a leader, you have to know where you are at, and you have to know where they're at, where they're going, how they're going to react to where you are at. If you're in a relationship, are you letting your man lead? Now, if you're letting your man lead, is he a good leader? And men, if you're watching, I'm gonna do a whole nother video for you. And there's something that you can do in this as well. When you are having him lead, are you able to let go of control? Now here's the bonus. Here's what's really important that I want you guys to all understand with me. Aloha. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about being in your feminine energy. Now, this is more for a female or whoever identifies as the female in a relationship, whether that is perhaps you're a male and you're in a male-male relationship and you identify more as the feminine, or if you are you could be in a business situation and you are like not necessarily the lead in this particular situation. Now you might be like in middle management to where you lead someone and then there's someone else leading you. Maybe you're just in an organization and there are other people around who are leading and you are supposed to be more in the following type energy. So this is the feminine from the perspective of, like I said, as if you are a female. Now, there's another video I'd highly recommend watching well, there's a couple more videos I'd recommend watching going along with this. And I want to be clear, and I'll put them in the description below, I'll put links. But I want to be clear, whenever I'm saying female, like I identify as a female, I'm not only saying biologically female. I'm saying anyone who identifies as is more of like a female. Now, some of that can obviously get very confusing. And if you're more in that energy, this is more of the video for you. Now, if you are a male and you identify with that male energy, it's also amazing for you to watch the video because then you can know how to react to the feminine. So with women, a lot of us have become so disconnected with the feminine, which is the importance of being able to watch this video, the importance of being able to understand what the feminine is and being able to understand what it is not as well. So for those of you who have seen the other videos, you know that I have recently gotten out of a relationship, and in that relationship it opened my eyes to a whole new perspective of the masculine and feminine energy. And sometimes we ask the universe for a goal, like we ask the universe, give me more information about something, or let me manifest something. And so one of my goals is to be able to help individuals and society as a whole begin to harmonize and balance masculine and feminine energies. So to be able to balance that within ourselves, within relationships, and as on a societal level as well. Again, more information on that in other videos. This video specifically is focusing on the importance of being in your feminine, being in your feminine energy. Now, this is extremely important because sometimes when you're not in your feminine energy and it's a good thing to be in your feminine energy, things can go wrong. Things can get wonky. So you might start having relationship troubles, for example. You might start having troubles at work. So as a business type example, I'm a vice president of a company, and one of the other leadership members was very in her masculine, which it's natural to be in your masculine when you are a leader. That's just most of the time how you lead. Now there's a difference though when you're in your masculine and you're also leading someone else who is in the masculine energy. When you're in the masculine and you're leading the masculine, sometimes you can come off as more direct, more aggressive, more like harsh, versus when you're in the masculine energy, whether male or female, and you're leading to the feminine energy. It's a softer leadership. So what had happened is, because I'm also a trainer, so I was on site training Neurolinguistic programming, NLP. It's like the stuff Tony Robbins does. So I was training, and when I'm on site, other people handling stuff in the office. And one of the other leaders led from the masculine to the masculine. And one of the other employees is more in the feminine energy. And so when you're a masculine leading to masculine, to the feminine, it can sometimes seem like aggressive or too harsh or too much. And so it's important to learn how to lead from both styles, to lead from the masculine to the masculine and the masculine to the feminine, which is a little bit more of a gentle leadership style. Now, how does this relate to feminine? Well, it's also important to recognize if you are in the feminine and you recognize, ooh, this person is seeming aggressive, this person is seeming that they are like too much, instead of getting hurt, instead of being in the energy of hurt, because that could take you to a lower vibration of feminine. So there's also different vibrations as well. So it's not just the masculine leading to the feminine. It's, are you a higher vibrational masculine leading to a lower vibrational masculine? And who's your person who is supposed to be following, who you're communicating with? Are they in the higher vibration of feminine? Are they more neutral? Or are they currently in the lower level of lower vibration of feminine? So where are you at and where are they at? And are they in the masculine or are they in the feminine? Because when you're when you're leading from the masculine and say you're leading another higher level vibration masculine, there's a completely different energy than, let's say, you're a higher vibration masculine and you're leading like a lower vibration feminine. As a leader, you have to know where you are at, and you have to know where they're at, where they're going, how they're going to react to where you are at. Now, relating this to the feminine, knowing where you're at on the scale. Let's say you're a female, you're at work, and so maybe you're both in the masculine. Do you need to step into your feminine to be able to follow? Some people, if they're like on the same level, like say it's two VPs, for example. Some people, they can both be in the masculine. Hopefully they're in the higher vibration of masculine, communication will go well, and everything will be fine. If you're a VP and you're talking to another employee, where are they? Are they also in the masculine right now? Or are they like in the feminine? And as the person who is supposed to be following direction, can you, if there's like heads being butted, right? So if there's like communication and you're like, oh, I want to do it this way, but your leader told you to do it this way, can you step back into your feminine and be like, okay, these are the instructions. These instructions make sense, so I need to follow them. Where are you at in that energy spectrum? If you're in a relationship, are you letting your man lead? Now, if you're letting your man lead, is he a good leader? So I'll give you an example. I used an example in one of my other videos about walking. So now I'm going to use an example about driving. And the person that I was in a relationship with, he was driving somewhere. And before we went on this trip, we were going like along Lake Michigan. We were gonna do some little vacation. I had a training there, and then after training, we were gonna do a little vacation. It was my birthday, so we were gonna do a little vacation. And so from where the training was to where like we were gonna stay at an Airbnb, there we could like go up the coast of Lake Michigan. And I had been there before, but he had never like driven along the coast of Lake Michigan. So that was one of his goals. It was one of the things that he wanted to do while he was there, was drive along the coast of Lake Michigan. And so we're driving along, and I think it's like I-12 or something. We're driving along this road, And we're parallel to, like, so the lake's like this, and we're driving like this. And so he keeps making a comment of like, I know the lake's over there. We're driving like right along it. I don't understand why we're not seeing water. I don't understand why we're not seeing water. He kept like saying that over and over again. Well, I could see the map on the car, like on the screen on the car, on the car display. And I'm looking at it, and also knowing how like interstates and stuff like that work, normally it's gonna bypass stuff. So it's not the scenic route where you see the water and where you know, go slower. It's like bypassing because you're just trying to get somewhere. And so I'm thinking, I don't think we're on the right road. And so I go into female caring mode. So like him saying, man, I don't know why we're not seeing water. And me knowing that was one of his goals, I'm thinking, ooh, he's driving, he can't like look at the map. How can I support my man in a situation? How can I help him get his goal? So it activated the feminine, motherly, like wanting to help, wanting to take care of my man. So because that got activated, I'm then looking on my map, and I notice, yeah, there's another road that goes like actually along the coast. And I also see, if we turn left, like pretty soon, like if we get off and like turn left, that we'll be on that road. And so I'm like, ooh, hey babe, take a left. And so he does, and we drive down this road and we end up at the water. But instead of being happy or grateful, he's pissed off. And I'm going, what's wrong? And he's like, well, I had the directions in there. I was taking you to the water. I was leading. And I'm like, oh, shoot. We had a different thing that had happened previously to where like he got us lost, and I was in heels and I was walking for like ever. I talked about it in a different video, but I was talking about it for, we were walking forever, and it turns, and yeah, he just basically got us lost. And so in that moment I had asked him, if this happens in the future, like what do you want me to do? And he was like, I will figure it out, do nothing. And then when this happened, when we were driving, I went, oh shoot. I went into the feminine of, ooh, I want to help my man and take care of him. And that's not what he wanted. And so then that put me in the feminine, like the lower feminine of like, I messed up, right? Like I didn't meet like one of these things that he was wanting. And so knowing all of this information after the breakup, and after coming to realize that there's these different levels of the vibration of the masculine and feminine. So there's the higher vibration of the masculine and lower vibration of the masculine, same thing with the feminine. And that there is this leading from the masculine, and then the feminine can also lead, and it's in a different way. And if I had been able to explain that to him in the moment, perhaps things would have gone differently. But it's more important to be able to understand this than things going differently. Because when you're in the feminine, it's not just knowing how to step out of your masculine and into the feminine and letting him lead, or, you know, I'm saying him, but again, it's whoever's the more male in the relationship. It's not just about stepping in and letting that person lead. It's also about, how do you follow? So being in the feminine, there's a balance between just blind, submissive following, which I do not recommend, and being able to also help your man and guide him as well. And men, if you're watching, I'm gonna do a whole nother video for you. And there's something that you can do in this as well. So for women, or like I said, those who are in that energy, for women, when you are having him lead, one of the most important things is for you to feel safe and for you to feel like you can trust the lead. Because if you don't feel safe, if you can't trust the lead, sometimes what can happen is you get thrown into the masculine, whether you want to be there or not. So teaching him, and it's important for the feminine to be able to teach the masculine how to lead you. How are you best led? How are you best led? So the time about the driving or the walking, whenever we were walking for a very long time and it was date night, so I was on heels, what he was doing was not leading me in a safe way or in a comfortable way. So when you're in the feminine, you have to know how to not go into your feminine, how to not take over the lead, and yet still express what your needs are in a caring and loving way. Now, men, again, there's something that you should be doing at this point, which will be in the other video. For women, though, it's, are you able to let go of control? There's many things, but that's a part of it. Because for women, we often have to be in our masculine so much throughout our jobs. Most of the time, most jobs require you to be in your masculine. Now I did a little bit earlier in the video talk about you can, when you're leading from the masculine, you can lead to the masculine and you can lead to the feminine. There is a little bit of leading from the feminine as well. And that's like the matriarchal society type leadership, to where this is actually, I didn't think about this until now, but this is actually me. So recently, the eldest person on my dad's side, who is female, has passed. So it's weird to think, but they have a lot of men. So I'm not the oldest person in the family, but they just have a lot of men on that side of the family. So because I am now the oldest woman, so I am now on the matriarchal position of my dad's side of the family. And what that leadership looks like is gathering the family. It looks like taking care of the family. It looks like checking on the family, making sure things are right. And there's a word that we use in Huna. I'm a teacher of Huna, which is an ancient Hawaiian energy. But there's a word that we use which is called pono. And pono, it just means like right, not like right as in right versus wrong, but you're just like congruent. You know who you are, or you're at peace with someone else. You're at peace with yourself. You're at peace with the other person, meaning you don't have any negative emotions towards that person. Lots of other videos on like stuff like Ho'oponopono, which is a ancient forgiveness process. So if you're not pono with other people, I highly recommend that. Maybe I'll put a link if I remember. But with this, it's the feminine energy of leading with a softness, and at the same time, while you're still leading with that softness, you can give control away over to the masculine and let the masculine lead you. And so what that looks like is, say we were on the drive and he's really wanting to, get to the water to be able to see the coastline. What I could have chosen to do is I could have said something like, hey babe, I think because we're on an interstate that possibly we won't see the water. Would you like me to see if Google is taking us a different way, and maybe see if there's a different way to be able to go to get to the water? That could have been something that I could have said if I was at the higher vibration of the feminine energy. So it's almost like asking for permission. And at the same time, please be very careful with this, because if he had then said, which this is what happened. So later when he was mad at me for, telling him to turn left, and then he was mad at me for he felt I took over the lead, which I literally just told him to turn left because I knew that road would get us to the water, which it did. And then again, I turned off my maps. I didn't have a destination. I didn't have anything in Google Maps. I didn't have a location. I just simply knew that road would take us. Well, what he did was he turned off his maps because he got mad, And so then we were no longer going to whatever it was, like the location that he was taking us. I didn't know he turned off his maps, and like he had stopped it. And so then we ended up like kind of like at a dead end, and then he was mad because he's like, well, I thought you were gonna get us out of here. And I'm like, no, I just simply said turn left, that was it. And I asked him, I said, well, we weren't going to see the water. If we continued along the road you were on, we weren't going to see the water. So I'm having trouble. I told him, I'm having trouble understanding how me telling you to turn left was A, taking over the lead, and B, how you're mad about it. And to him, he said he didn't care that we were going the wrong way. He didn't care that we weren't seeing the water. He would have rather led me, even if it was the wrong way. And so I'm like, well, then you wouldn't have gotten your goal of seeing the water. So what does that mean to you? And he said, I would have rather gotten to the destination and then had to turn around and go back a different way to see the water. Now, this is what by me talking about being in the feminine, this is the caution part. Because if you are a strong feminine, which I tend to be more in the higher vibration, strong feminine energy, it's gonna do a couple of things. You might be pissed off because you might be like, what the fuck? You can't say that on YouTube. You might be like, okay, so basically what you're telling me right now is you don't value my opinion. You don't value that maybe I wouldn't have wanted to get lost. You think that you need to lead, and you're not accepting any help from me. I can't take care of you. Men, if you're watching, if you want to slam your woman, especially if she is a strong woman, into her masculine, you say something or do something along the lines of like thinking her opinion doesn't matter, or thinking like maybe she doesn't want to go the wrong way, and it would have made us go the opposite way. We would have been late for other things. We wouldn't have like had dinner, stuff like that. So if you're a male and you're watching this, and you tell your female that you don't care if you get lost, or you don't care if you have to backtrack, that it's more important to lead her, that will more than likely either slam her into her masculine or into her lower level vibration of feminine. Now, women, you have some choices here. So you can just be like, all right, I'm going to be completely submissive. It's probably more than likely going to throw you in the lower level of vibration of your feminine energy if you're just like, okay, I'm going to shut up. I'm not going to tell him that he's not going to see the water, and I'm going to go along with it if we have to go and turn around and like do the whole trip in reverse. If that is your choice, because it's your choice on how you want to handle the feminine, you can have a choice of being completely submissive, not saying anything, and letting him go, and you can go with the flow. Now, if there's no time constraints, if you really don't care about what's going on, that might not necessarily put you in the lower vibration. It might just put you in neutral feminine, where you're just going with the flow. And ladies in general, I highly recommend going with the flow. It's very peaceful, it's relaxing, it's satisfying, and you just let someone else take you where you need to go. Which is what I did in a different situation where we were going somewhere else, and there was no like destination, and so I didn't pay attention to where we were going. In fact, I was not paying attention that if something happened and I had to like get back to where I was, I would have like no clue how to do it, because I was completely 100% in the flow and just not caring where we were going, not caring if we had to turn around or anything like that. That is an option. And if you are trying to get somewhere, there's another option where you can, from a higher vibration feminine, you can inform your partner of, hey babe, I don't know if we're gonna get to the water on this route. Would you like me to, possibly get some directions there, or at least, or kind of like see like, oh no, if we don't get there, we'll turn around. Hey babe, I'm not really comfortable turning around. Can maybe you pull over and look at the map? So those are you staying in the feminine energy and giving him some options to lead. Now, if he's still being stubborn, just saying, no, I've got it, shut up, that's a little bit in the lower level of masculine energy. And if that happens, then you have to decide what to do, as far as it's probably going to either activate your masculine or it's going to activate your lower level of feminine in a not a good way. And then he'll wonder later why you're crying. So all of this, there's choices. There's how do you want to react to the energy? How do you want to be in the flow? I'm currently in the process of creating a whole questionnaire, like a where are you at on the energetic spectrum quiz. And my background is in psychology and sociology, so I've done these types of quizzes before and like these questionnaires. And you want to make sure there's a bunch of stuff you want to take into account, that you're not leading the questions and stuff like that. So I'm in the process of creating this. I'm also going to have other psychologists look at this as well to be able to make sure that the questions are asked in the best possible way. So at the time of this video, the link probably will not be below, but you can check back, or if you're watching this video later, then maybe it will be there. So go ahead and look in the description for the link if you want to take the questionnaire to find out where you are at. But ladies, there's a whole bunch of different energies to be able to be in your feminine. There's being in the flow, like I was mentioning earlier. There's the giving energy, as in you're like taking care of, not necessarily gifts unless that's what's something they value, but it's more of you're giving your energy to that person. You're giving your time, you're giving your space. It's a very kind and gentle energy. It's the wind is very active today, and that's kind of part of the feminine energy, is to kind of just let that flow go. There's Aikido is a good example of please forgive me, I've only taken a few Aikido classes. I think I'm not even saying it quite correctly. So those of you who are trained in this, you would know more than I do. So I don't know specifically if it is actually a feminine martial art. However, it has more of that feminine energy to it. More of that, instead of like attacking, it's more of that letting the other person guide you, and then like you can take them down with their own energy. Water can actually help you connect with your feminine energy. If you are near water or near nature, those can help you get into your feminine energy. And please realize at work, most of the time you're going to be more in your masculine energy. And so when you come home, or even if you're at work and you need to be in your feminine, and you realize, ooh, I need to switch gears. One of the ways you can do is you can ground yourself. So you can go outside, put your feet in the dirt, ground yourself, connect with nature. If you're near water, you can connect with water. Meditation can also help as well. So maybe coming home and just spending like maybe 5 minutes or so in meditation before you start cooking dinner or anything like that. Cooking can actually also put you in your feminine though. So if you enjoy, now you have to enjoy it. So if you were cooking just to kind of get it done because you need to eat and your family needs to eat and blah, 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 that's not necessarily putting you in your feminine. But if you enjoy preparing a meal, that can put you in your feminine. And even if cooking is not necessarily your thing, you can still put your mana, you can still put your energy into the food that you're making and create something, because creation is very much in the feminine energy. So creating things, art, sewing, anything where, and maybe that's why traditionally like women would sew and stuff. Interestingly, creating fire is more feminine than it is masculine. So all of you guys who think they need a barbecue and start the grill, so traditionally, women would actually keep the fire going, unless you were like a blacksmith or something, but that would be like later in our history. But previously, it would be the women who would stay and attend to the fire and make sure it kept going, because the men would be off hunting. They were off hunting, and then they would come home and they'd be exhausted from hunting, and so the women would cook on the fire. So making a fire is actually more feminine energy than it is masculine energy. And it's a little bit neutral too. I'm not saying like, if you're feminine, you need to go start the fire all the time. And a lot of times some men are like, oh no, grill, masculine, gotta go start the grill. So it's not necessarily true. And mostly though, it's, can you slow down? Can you be in the moment? Can you be present? Can you allow your man or your boss, can you allow that person to lead, and can you follow? Now, again, with everything that I'm researching and finding, it's also important for the feminine to be able to lead when appropriate. And that leadership is more of a gentle leadership versus you must do it this way now, deadline, we got to get it done. The feminine is more of a creative. And in fact, if you are trying to create something new, like say within your company, you actually want to step into feminine energy, because the feminine energy is more of the creative energy. The masculine is more of the logical left brain energy, and the feminine is more creative. So if you're wanting to create a new product at work, a new service at work, you can actually step into your feminine. You can do breath work to be able to get you more into your feminine. Your feminine is going to be more in your heart space. So a lot of us were up here in our logical mind, especially like when we're at work, because we have deadlines, we have to think about things. That's masculine energy. So even if you are a male, and like I said, you're trying to create something, you can go from your masculine, the head energy, and imagine like a parachute dropping down into your heart energy. We just got through teaching our Huna training here in Hawaii, and I was teaching a class how to see energy. And my my internal representation, my goal was for 100% of my students to be able to see that energy. So I had this visualization in my mind of 100% of my students being able to see energy. And one of the things I had them do is I took them through a little meditation where they felt their energy in their head, and just like you would parachute or fall, just imagine that energy moving down into your heart space. And when that energy is down into your heart space, for one, you're able to do things like see energy, also into your gut, what the Hawaiians call the na'au as well. And when you're there, you're able to connect with that feminine energy. You're able to connect with that creativity, that flow, that being in the moment, that being able to be guided by others. Now here's the bonus. Here's what's really important that I want you guys to all understand, or in this case, you girls to all understand. Being led doesn't just mean by a physical person. Being led also means being led by your source. So how good are you at listening to your source? The more you can listen to your source, the more inspiration comes in, and inspiration is a part of the feminine energy. The more your creativity comes in, the more downloads you can get. So if you can put yourself in the feminine, you can then receive. It's more of a receptive energy. Now, in order for you, so there's a couple of things to being in your feminine. You can put yourself there, and your man can put you there. You can take yourself out of it, and your man can also take yourself out of it. Most of the time, unless you're going out of it because you're going to work or something like that, most of the time it's an accident on either one of the people's parts. So one of the ways that a man can take you out of your feminine is if they're leading you in a way that makes you feel safe or uncomfortable, or it's just simply like not gonna work. So going back to the example of the direction, I knew that we were not going to get to the water. To me, I don't necessarily feel comfortable if there's another choice to get that goal. To me, it doesn't feel good to not take that choice. Now, if it's a mistake, please understand, like if it was a mistake and none of us knew, like he thought he was getting us to water and neither one of us knew that wasn't going to happen, I would know under no circumstances would I be like, what the hell? I thought you were taking us to water. Why didn't you get us to water? You suck at leading. There is no way that I would say that to him or anyone else, because that is definitely being in the lower vibration. To me, that's not okay, saying something like that. To me, it's also not okay if one of us knows that there is a way to get the goal without backtracking. To me, it does not make any sense, and because I'm more of in this what would be considered like the strong feminine, it doesn't make sense to me. And that's where, when you are following, how do you have that discussion with that other person to let them know, I want to follow you and this doesn't make sense to me. Help me understand how this makes sense. And sometimes it's just bad leadership. And that's okay too, because then the two of you learn. He learns, because again, like I was saying earlier, sometimes the feminine has to teach the masculine how to lead them. So then he learns, ooh, okay, great. She really doesn't appreciate it if we're walking for 10 minutes and she's in heels. That's not going to be okay with her. And then women, or those who are in the feminine energy, you have the choice on how much you're going to follow. If your boss says something and you know it's going to mess up like all of these other systems at work or something like that, then you can gently, from the feminine, let this person know, okay, there might be a thing, like I know you have so much on your plate, you're doing so much. This probably is out of your knowledge because you're used to other people handling this for you. So because it's out of your knowledge, I just want to make sure that you are aware, if I do this task you're telling me to do, it's going to cause this domino effect over here. If that person goes, oh yeah, thank you for telling me, I had no clue, I'm not in that energy, I'm not doing that, so I didn't see any of that. Perfect. You just saved that person. And if that person is in the higher vibration of masculine, that person's going to thank you and be like, oh, you just saved us a lot of time, money, whatever it might be. Now, if you go into it from an energy of like, no, I'm not going to do this. This is stupid. This is going to waste this time. We're going to waste this money, blah, blah, blah. That person, even if they're at the higher vibration, you might slam them into their lower level of vibration and they might chew you out. If you can stay in your feminine though, and come from a place of, please forgive me, I just want to understand. I want to make sure that this is all going to fit together. Here's this information. Can you explain what you want me to do again? Because it seems like it's going to affect this and this. See how you can see how that is different. Or if you are just in your lower vibration of feminine, and you just simply are completely 100% submissive and just go out and do it, even though you know it's going to mess up everything, then he can also chew you out and say, or she, whatever, can also chew you out and be like, well, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you do this? This is why it is so important to understand where the other person is at and where you're at, and to be able to communicate in a way to where the two of you can come together. To where if you need to follow, you're in the feminine. If you need to lead, you're in the masculine, or you're in the feminine in a way that leads with kindness, gentleness, and caring. Now, ladies who are watching this, or people who are who resonate as female, I highly recommend that you also watch the video on the masculine as well, for the video that's for males, because there's also some things that I'm going to put in there that, you know how I said you can put yourself in the masculine, the male can also put you in the masculine, or in the feminine. No, sorry, yes, so the male can also put you as the female in your masculine as well, because there are certain things that he can do that will trigger you to go over there. Now, if you are in the higher vibration of feminine, even if he does those things, you have the opportunity to see it, to not be triggered to go over there. Because yes, on multiple levels, it is the male's job to be able to put his female in the masculine, because he's the leader. That's why it's his job, because he is the leader. So it's his job to do this. Now, as the feminine though, it's also your job to respond, because response is more of a feminine energy. And so it's your job to be able to say, I trust this person. I'm going to allow him and accept his leadership. Or you also have the opportunity to say, I don't trust this person. I need to set boundaries, and I need to say, tell him, please forgive me. You're putting me in my feminine right now, and this isn't okay. Or you're putting me in my masculine right now, and this isn't okay for me. You have every right to tell him, or to tell him you want someone who's going to be more submissive, and I can't do that. That's not okay for me. It's not good for me. All right, I will be making more and more videos on this, more videos on how to really be in your feminine. This is more of a level 1 type video. So I'll be making more videos on this. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, share, all of those wonderful things. And I love you all. Please always choose love in everything that you do. Mahalo.